Right, this public hearing for the City of Malden in accordance with provision of General Laws, Chapter 87, Section 3, notice is herewith given. The public hearing will be held at 5 o'clock today on the 11th day of May at the DPW yard located at 356 Commercial Street for the purpose of determining whether or not public shade trees located at 34 Francis Street and 68 Dexter Street shall be cut down or removed by the tree warden, which is me, Bob Knox, DPW Director with the City of Malden. And the first location that we have is 68 Dexter Street. I received a letter from the homeowner, Judith Mandalesi, and it says this letter is in response to a series of costly root problems caused by a very large maple tree growing out of the sidewalk next to my home at 68 Dexter Street on the Rockland Ave side of the house. The roots from this tree have extended into my home and has caused me damage which I have paid to have repaired several times. As an elderly woman on a fixed income, this has caused an undue hardship. I have had to call 3 times to repair the soil line coming into my home caused by the roots growing from this tree. I have used the same company called Royal Flush located in Revere, Massachusetts. The owner, Gary Meads, has performed repairs on May 27, 2014, July 13, 2015, and January 23, 2016. I have about this problem to remove this tree completely, roots, and all of this will continue to be a costly problem for me. Enclosed is 3 copies of receipts for this work done on these dates. Please let me know how this problem will be resolved. Thank you very much. Sincerely, Judith Mandalesi. And she has 3 paid work orders for the dates that she mentioned for repairs to the soil line with documentation saying that it was caused from the roots from the city tree. The second one, I'll read the second one, and then Brian, I'll open the floor. The second one is for 34 Francis Street, Stephen Lewis and Sandy Felder. We are requesting permission from the city to have a tree removed that is located in front of our home. The tree is about 10 years old, however, it is creating considerable damage to our property. The city is now in the process of replacing the sidewalk where it pushed up the concrete to a point where a person fell. To our property, it has resulted in thick roots coming up on our lawn and lifting the lawn itself. It makes it impossible to cut the grass. It also has pushed up the concrete on our front walk. Though we realize that the city is not responsible for damage to personal property caused by city trees, we are hoping that you will consider this request. We have the support of our neighbors in having the tree removed. If need be, we can get a petition for you. In addition, we would be happy to have another tree, but one that does not grow so big and send its roots everywhere. I understand that.
Hey, buddy.
Oh yeah. I understand that the silver pear tree is one of such. We have spoken to our city councilor, John Matheson, and he advises we reach out to you. I understand that a hearing is needed for this to occur. Please let me know when the hearing will be so we can come to testify if called on. Thank you very much, Stephen and Sandy. And that's what they have there. No, there's no paid receipts or documentation of anyone doing any repairs to the home. But those are the 2 petitioners to have the trees removed, and I'll open it up to our residents if anyone wants to speak, in favor or against.
Yeah, I'm not, excuse me for being late, by the way.
No,
I'm Len Marullo, I live on Dexter Street, 134. I'm not particularly, I have no interest in this tree, one way or another. The only thing is, I understand that this is, it interferes with maybe a sewer or a water line or something like that. All I would hope for is, in the future, and not with this tree, that look for other solutions. Maybe there's a way of, right on the property line, digging way down, cutting the roots, and they can put something in there to kill the old roots because it'll only attract bugs and stuff, cinch bugs and all kinds of things, get into the root system. But there's so much to look at. I don't particularly like the tree because it has a stop sign on it, but you know what I mean? Maybe there should be there was a time when there were no stop signs at that intersection
Right.
for a long time. So, I'm here basically not to talk about that tree.
That specific tree.
Yeah,
You're just
but-
concerned about taking down the tree in general.
Yes, and, the procedures.
Yep, and I
And
should,
what's, I don't know if this would be a high priority in a way. I mean, they would have to prove that that particular tree would be doing, in my mind,
yeah,
first.
yeah,
And, you know, and maybe DPW would have an expert guy to come out and look at it and say, well, here's some other procedures that could be done.
I looked personally at this
Yeah.
tree, and you can see where the sidewalk's lifted, and I can see where it's possible this is happening, and going on the resident's written statement of what she said here, I read it into the minutes
Okay.
prior, and
Yeah.
her paid receipts, I'm gonna say that it's a good chance that this is causing her a hardship, but
Yeah,
because we have, we have people that have already called me to voice their opinion on contesting on taking down either tree. That will also be put into the minute. And one of the questions about taking down the trees, and that's why we're doing these
Yeah.
hearings now. The DPW plants every year around 150 trees in-house, which has started since I've become the director. I've been here 23 years in different roles, but since I've become the director, we never did in-house tree planting. Now we do about 150 trees per year, and that's all depending on what we have for a budget to work with. The budget that we had last year was $25,000, and there's other ways that we do get trees from, if a tree is hit during an accident, we put a claim in, and we get, depending on how old the tree is, how big the tree is, we get certain trees in return for it, amount of trees, we plant
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah.
I just got in, actually this morning, 21 trees that are gonna be going in. We put in, I think,
Yeah.
8 today, but they'll all be in this week, so we're gonna still try to keep up with that number of replacing and putting in 150 a year, and it's all depending on what the budget is. We have a saw we use for cutting the sidewalks, and the first thing that we try to do is save the tree if we can. We don't like to, even with all the sidewalk work that we do, we don't look to take down trees. It's kind of a funny thing because for every person that loves the tree, there's someone else that
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all, and
Yeah.
what I found in my career down here, it's kind of a no-win
Yeah.
situation because it's not like everyone
you-
wants their sidewalk fixed, but not everybody wants a tree, and some people
Here's-
want a tree. So
yeah.
that's where we're at with these particular two. And again, I had someone that did call in that was opposed to taking down both trees without knowing the situation
Yeah.
of what they are, and that's why we'll
Yeah,
have this
yeah.
meeting so I can read these
Yeah.
into the minutes.
So can I comment?
Absolutely.
So Brian DeLacy, 1 Earl Street. So on both of them, I've looked at both locations, and on the Francis Street one, actually, it wasn't clear to me which tree was the target of removal, and so that alone was sufficient cause to sort of consider it further. And on the Dexter Street, Rockland Ave, the tree looked reasonably healthy. The sidewalk was raised to a point where it is actually a trip hazard, no doubt about it. But one person I spoke with regarding the potential for invasion of the sewerage system with roots was that, well, the presumption then must be that they have a cracked sewer line.
Yeah.
And removal of the tree, both along the lines of what Lenny was talking about, might not remove their problem. So actually, and in the general consensus of several people that I've spoken with, either in person or corresponded with online, there certainly was a vocal opposition to just proceeding and removing them both. So.
Right.
So I personally would be in favor of at least a further review
Yeah.
on the Francis Street one, just to clarify which tree it is, and a couple good ideas people had. One of the trees appears to be no longer blooming or blossoming, or it's just a huge hunk of interesting wood. And so could the wood, if that were the tree, be saved, either for community use or artistic purpose? And then the other question I had Mr. Knox, is that if the trees come down, do they get replaced? Do they get replaced in that location or another nearby location, or what's the policy and program?
Technically, we don't put one right back in the same hole unless it's a young tree that was damaged that we could put back in the same hole. Usually we try to stay 4 to 5 feet from that location if somebody does want another tree. A lot of times, it goes both ways where sometimes people, they are having a problem with a specific tree, but they still want another tree, so we try to find something close in proximity to that location. So it varies from resident to resident. That's why we're doing these hearings and having these documentations to back up the decisions that we do make, because it's a thing that some people love them and some people don't. But so what happens from here is now, because we do have some discussion and some opposition and some questions regarding these two locations, then I'll have to go back to the mayor as the CEO of the city to discuss both locations and give him my recommendations on what I feel, and then he'll direct me from there on how we should proceed.
Great. Question, looking out into the future, tree budgets and such, how is that looking today, where we sit?
The past few years, we've got $25,000, I think $20,000 one year, $25,000 the next year. I know in the proposed budget, it isn't final, it's just proposed, in the proposed budget for next year, the tree planting account has been zeroed out, but that's always open up for discussion. And I'm sure that, since like I said earlier, I still have some remaining money up to this year's budget, which I just got 21 trees in that we are planting this week. So my goal is to still do 150 trees a year. Just a matter of finding how to get the funds and the resources to do so.
Roughly 150 trees.
Yep.
I mean, the price must go up each year. But what would that cost? Does
Tree-
it cost?
The trees, yeah.
Doesn't cost the whole 25,000 or something.
You got the trees, you got the stakes, you got the bags. Those bags are $25 a piece. The gator bags for the watering. So the trees that I just purchased were, I purchased 13 of these October Glory, which was a maple tree. And those are going in the square area. Those were $255 a piece.
Oh.
The other trees that I planted that I got were the pear trees, and those were $179 a piece.
Do you like the pears?
Yeah,
the Bradford kind, are they?
Yeah, Bradford pear, Cleveland.
They're a little
Cleveland
bit
pear.
brittle though.
What I like about it is I'm looking at making decisions for trees that are going to be safe for the sidewalks, where they're not going to get too invasive like years ago with the maples
Elms
and the locusts and
stuff,
the elms and the, where the next DPW director after I'm gone is going to curse me for planting those trees. So, well, all this money that we spend on fixing sidewalks, I think if better decisions and more knowledge was from years prior on what they planted and where they planted them, with technology and time, we find out things. So that's why we have a list of trees that have been accepted.
I'm hoping we can, with the right kind of trees.
Yeah,
but you can, in the right planting of them, you can really save some money.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And sidewalk repair.
And exactly, and I'll tell you, for instance, and reason why I got into planting trees in the first place, because like I said prior, I don't know if you were here, Lenny, that prior we didn't plant trees in-house with the DPW. Every year they'd plant trees, have a contractor plant the trees.
Yeah.
So for a contractor to come in and to plant a tree, you got the cost of the tree, and then to plant, you're talking it's $800 to $1,000 per tree. Me, I can buy the tree for $250, and like I said, today we put 8 trees in. So
here's another thing I was hoping it could happen. If you were to get together with another neighboring town, city,
yeah,
could you have more purchasing power in buying trees? And would there be an issue like storing them and so forth?
we don't see. I don't store them here. When I buy them, they go right in the ground. I don't keep them because you got to keep them wet and everything. So within a couple of days of me getting, that's why I don't buy 100 at a time. I buy the most that I usually buy at a time is 2 dozen, because I'm gonna put them right in the ground. I don't want to store them here. Keep them, At one time last year we got some because I got a really good deal on them later in the fall, where I got a call from the company that we buy them from, which is Cavecchio, and they gave me a really good deal for $125 a tree. So I took you know, a bunch of them, but I don't like to
If
store.
you're storing this, it's problems.
Your chances you're gonna
Yeah.
lose some. You wanna get them in the ground, get them staked, get them bagged, and then start the
Yeah.
watering process. Now, we have, and the reason why we do it in smaller groups like that too, because now, once they go in the ground, now I have a guy that's gonna go out for the first few weeks, that's gonna fill those bags with water.
Yeah.
People that requested these trees, because a lot of these requests come from See Click Fix, or people that call and say, I have an empty tree pit, we used to have a tree, I like a tree, and then we go out and we look and make sure there's no power lines, overhead power
Yeah.
lines, and there's no underground utilities within 4 or 5 feet of the location that we're looking at. And if it's a good location that we determine is a good location for a tree, what I hope is, after we get it established and put in the ground, that the homeowner that requested the tree is then gonna upkeep with keeping it clean and watered and moving forward.
Yeah.
And if there's any, obviously, pruning or that needs done after that, then they can call us, we'll do that. I'm not saying major maintenance, but just regular.
Actually, it'd be nice if anybody who had a new tree could, like, see the DPW is watering it and everything, and then pick up from there.
Yeah, that's
after a month.
that's what I
Just
ho-
like, if it's just an informal thing and they could just do it, and just because,
Yeah.
you know, the chances of it surviving are
That's-
much greater if it's really watered.
Right.
So-
And we do, and we actually, we had one this year, a resident from over at Emerald Street that called, had an empty tree pit, and she, the tree was hit in the wintertime. Somebody hit the tree. It was a smaller tree that we planted the year before, it was a small tree, and somebody backed into it and hit the tree in the winter. So she called me before I even got this group of trees in, and she said, Bob, if I buy a replacement tree for this tree pit, will your guys come down and plant the new tree? I said, absolutely. When do you want to get it? She goes, I'll go get it tonight. Can you come tomorrow? So she did get it, and we put it right in the ground, and we've staked it, bagged it, watered it. But moving forward now, she's invested in it. She's going to take care of which is a great thing, because we're limited on what staff we have. And for the first few weeks, we do water them regularly. But moving on, it's nice that the homeowner takes some responsibility. But I'm pretty proud about the fact that it's something that we didn't do in the past, and I found a way to bring it into the department, into the city, and also save us money. Because, like I said, my guys put 8 trees in today for the cost of the tree.
Yeah.
If I had a contractor come in and put 8 trees in, you're talking, that's $6,000 to $8,000 for the day. I had guys on regular time during their regular day today put in these trees. So it's a win-win for the city, and saving us a few dollars.
So I personally want to say thank you for this public hearing and a
thanks.
chance to
Thanks for
taking
coming.
time to speak
I
with us.
appreciate it. And so we'll have the results of these hearings after I speak to the mayor.